What's up, everybody? It's Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I am here tonight to talk to you guys about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. I watched it last night. I am finally getting around to doing my review, obviously right now. Wanted to do it before the weekend was over. I know a lot of you had asked me on social media what I thought of the movie, so these are going to be my words and my thoughts on the movie. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button and make sure to leave a like and leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought of the movie. And without further ado, let's get right into this. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 is a direct sequel, yet again, to the original The Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974. And it follows the story of a group of young millennials, I think it's like Gen X or Gen Z, something like that. Young kids that want to gentrify an old abandoned town in Harlow, Texas. They have, at least they think they have gotten the deeds and the rights to all these buildings, these homes, these businesses, and they're going to gentrify it up and modernize it and, bring some fresh new blood to it. Little do they know Leatherface is there. Something happens, and I guess if you guys haven't seen it by now, that's on you. So this will contain spoilers. The woman that was watching over Leatherface, whether it be his birth mother or an orphan mother, she dies after being told that she needs to leave her house, though she swears she has the deed and that she did not lose her house in the sale. And when she dies, Leatherface is like, all right, I'm going to kill all you guys. First, let me cut her face off and wear it while I kill all you guys. And that's basically the plot of this movie. This movie, it's not for plot. It's not for character development. It's not trying to make you think hard at all. So if you go into this movie expecting that, if you go into this movie wanting more than that, you're in the wrong movie. I've got to say that from the top. I think that the filmmakers, the marketing department, they really made it quite apparent throughout, through the marketing of this film that this was going to be the idea of this movie. So you don't feel duped going into it of like, wow, I didn't get this great character arc and drama and yada yada. I mean, no, it's very blatantly Leatherface's movie, very similar to Halloween Kills in the sense that it is a classic iconic horror villain that gets a movie to shine by killing as many people as possible in the most brutal ways as possible. And that's really this movie. I want to start off with the pros. First of all, Leatherface. My God, is he an absolute animal in this movie. And I've heard in some people's reviews that I've watched that they've criticized and said, well, that's not Gunnar Hansen. Gunnar Hansen's Leatherface, if this is supposed to be a sequel to the original, that's not what Gunnar Hansen was like. Guys, they're clearly modernizing it for the current times, and it doesn't hurt at all. I don't sit there and go, oh my God, this takes me out of it. No, lighten up. Seriously, lighten the hell up. So Leatherface is great. He's very smart. He's obviously acting off of aggression and emotion, and it shows, and I think it makes the kills that much cooler, in my opinion. And I think that his look, although it took me a minute to warm up to it, I think as the movie goes on, you really start to buy into the look. It's still not my favorite look of Leatherface, but the portrayal is one of my favorites. So Leather is as bad as ever. On top of that, I think David Blue Garcia, who was a guy that none of us had ever heard of, really brought a vision to this movie, aesthetically and visually. I have to give him credit. When you hear about an unknown director taking over a 8th, 9th movie in a horror franchise, midway through production, you're immediately like, this is going to suck. And he is, the cinematography is great. I think that he does really cool things with the camera to accentuate a scene. Specifically when Sally confronts Leatherface and thinks that this is going to be this big moment. Leatherface is basically like, I do not give two shits about you. The way he handles the camera there and frames the shots with her reaction and Leatherface walking away tells more of a story than a lot of directors, I think, could have gotten out of a moment like that. So I've got to give David Blue Garcia credit. He really handled this movie well. Visually, it looks great. I think that the gore is freaking top notch. The bus scene lives up to whatever hopes and dreams you had for it. The only thing I would say about the bus scene is some of these kids are dumb. None of them even really try to get away. They're just banging on the windows we're gonna die. And no one tried to slip past him. Again, it's a slasher movie, so you got to suspend disbelief. But it was awesome. I mean, it was freaking awesome. And so gory buckets of blood, a lot of practical effects, some CGI effects that you can tell are CGI at times, like after the cleaver to the face, that was definitely CGI. Would have really much preferred that been practical, but I know it's harder to land that practically, and make it look real. So I digress on that one. But overall, dude, the carnage, the action. There's a moment in this movie where I turned to my wife and I said, that was badass. And it was when Lila is going for the gun and Leatherface knows that she's too far ahead of him for him to catch up to her. So he starts the chainsaw and slides it across the floor to slice the back of her leg. And I thought that was brilliant. I mean, immediately I was like, that's pretty good. So overall, and I loved that the character of Sally died. I mean, because it was unnecessary, and I'll get into the cons of that. And the way she died was just absolutely brilliant. It was so amazing. And the ending, the post-credit scene is great. It teases something that hopefully we get to see. And the ending that you have this false ending, and I was pissed. I mean, I was pissed. And then the real ending came, and I said, okay, I can live with it. So those are the pros of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. And the cons are very few and far between, but they're personal preferences for me. And I've sat on this movie now for about 24 hours, so I feel like my initial emotional response to it is now out the window, and I can speak from a place of clarity. The characters suck. I mean, they suck. Bottom line, they suck. That is the point. I get it. You're not supposed to like them. You're not supposed to give two shits about them. The movie does a great job of conveying that. You're supposed to root for Leatherface, and that is totally fine. I guess personally, I was just like, man, give me one character I can latch on to. They just suck. They're paper thin. You want them all to die. The acting is pretty much bad all across the board, in my opinion. Christian, my buddy Christian and I talked about it. The gas station clerk was fine. The cops are fine. There's a couple people that are fine in their little roles, but the main characters, I feel like some moments they sell and some moments they do not sell at all. I mean, just some bad acting in a lot of spots in this movie. And I feel like that if this movie was trying to convey something dramatic or with some emotional depth, it would have fallen flat on its face. But luckily, that wasn't the point of this movie. And the biggest con, I think, for me, is the inclusion of the character of Sally Hardesty. Now, let me just say, the woman that portrayed Sally's character in this movie was actually probably the best actor in this film. I thought that she really did sell her stuff. She was a good actress. The problem is, it's the most unnecessary copycat bullshit I have seen in so long. I mean, it was so unnecessary. I don't think any Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan has been wondering for the past 50 years, man, I wonder if Sally's been waiting for Leatherface. And she even tries to do this whole like Laurie Strode monologue, and it's just no. And then she's say my name, and it's so cringy, but it makes up for it because Leatherface is literally like, dude, I don't know who the fuck you are. Like, I don't care. Leave me alone. So it was, I mean, it was fine enough in the end, but my God, was it a totally unnecessary plot point that should have never been touched. Just glad she died. Just glad she died. Definitely well deserved. So my thoughts overall on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 are, this movie is not going to break new ground. It's not going to win over any new fans into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. If you are a fan of Leatherface and gore, you're going to have a good time with this movie. You will probably walk away with the same complaints I had. This is not a great movie. It's not. But it is fun enough and enjoyable enough that you walk away and go, the pros were really good. The cons were really bad. So overall, it was an okay enough time with buckets of blood and some great practical effects. And Leatherface is as badass as ever, so hey, it is not a waste of an hour and 22 minutes of your life. I can tell you that. I would probably rank this about 5 in my Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise ranking, so it really is middle of the road. Go in, temper your expectations, don't expect the Mona Lisa, shut off your brain, and have a damn good time. Because Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 is fun. So I'm going to give Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 a 6 out of 10. And I will give it let's just say it's worth a viewing. And hopefully it gets a physical media release because, not going to lie, I'd probably buy it. So yeah, Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for waiting patiently for my thoughts on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit the bell for notifications and subscribe so you don't miss when I upload more rants of me talking about horror movies that you may or may not love. That's all for tonight, guys. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I am pulling out.